It was always interesting being able to hear what my colleague next door was doing. And, it was, for me as a young teacher, it was absolutely valuable in improving my classroom management skills because I had to keep my 22, 23 students focused on what I was doing in my space. Meanwhile, my next door neighbor might have a war movie going on. Like I might be talking about the Civil War and my neighbor might have the invasion of D-Day from Saving Private Ryan going on. So it was challenging, but being able to keep my students focused on what I was doing in my space, it actually, I think, in some ways kind of made me a better teacher. There's even times now that when a class is being a little bit loud or a little more animated, I can just bump up the volume and I'll just say, listen, I taught for the first decade, 12 years of my career in the old building, so talking over all of you in a room, no big deal.
In 1975, the old Methuen High School was built with an open classroom concept. Since then, the old high school has undergone a $100 million renovation that now includes classrooms with walls. Along with the new classrooms, the high school also received a new media center, library, cafeteria, and auditorium.
An average class was very disrupted. The way it was set up, you had the hallway, and then there were two rooms kind of off of that hallway. So one was next to the hallway and the other one was on the other side of that room, and that bordered the windows. So in order to get to the classroom with the windows, you had to walk through the back of the other room. So anytime kids left to go to the bathroom or to go to the office or anything, there was always disruptions. Any noise that happened anywhere within 100 feet of where you were, you heard. So yeah, it was a very disruptive school.
Especially upstairs, the north and south house, second floor. Got very, very congested in the middle. Now you can walk from one end of the building to the other very easily, but under the old setup, the media center was right in the middle, and you would come down one hallway and have to converge with everybody else to get around the media center. And there was a set of classrooms they called the media labs that were kind of like a horseshoe shape around that hallway, and a lot of times I would cut through that little hallway just to get out of the huge congestion of people.
Although the school is set up in such an unusual way, for students it was just a normal everyday thing, and they made the best with what they were given.
My very best memory, I have so many, but one day in the open classroom, I was giving a quiz to my pre-calculus students, and next door, the teacher Marie Como was teaching the lesson about the quiz. So I was watching the students, and all of a sudden they were all looking up, and then they would write something, and I said, oh my gosh, they're listening to the lesson and able to follow the quiz.
And so in terms of positives, I definitely, for me personally, I can only speak to myself, but it definitely helped me being able to learn how to block out other kind of stimuli, sound, noise around me, and it actually kind of helped me personally in some ways focus. I definitely understand now as a teacher and someone who understands the needs of all learners. That definitely did not apply to everybody, but in the case of myself, I think that today I'm pretty good at working through distraction and being able to kind of focus and zero in on things I'm trying to do at the time.
It was very weird to see, quote unquote normal classrooms, which I would have thought would have made the space feel smaller. But like I said, it felt bigger. And then, seeing all this new stuff, but then stepping into, say, the field house or the ice rink, which looked almost exactly the same, felt like I was stepping back in time. It was a very strange, surreal kind of experience.
The classrooms, I used to wear 3-inch heels. I could see over the walls. So my first classroom was in the middle of a hallway, and when I walked around, I could see people in the hallway. And I had chalkboards, and that's about it. When I would substitute teach in the business department, you could see all the classrooms. The walls were probably waist high, so you could see all the classrooms at one time, and you could hear all the classrooms at the same time.
Although students were put in such an unfamiliar situation, they would go and do sports and clubs every day after school to put some type of normalcy in their lives. Popular things being football, soccer, basketball, and other things, along with clubs like drama.
It was old, it was orange and yellow, and again, it felt more like a warehouse. I'd always try to tell people that if you stood up on a desk, you could see over all the lockers and see out, and it felt like you were in the middle of Home Depot, or it felt like you were in the middle of BJ's. It was more warehouse than like school environment.
Things I would have changed, like about the building coming in my first year, would have been to have the walls and doors. The other thing that I really would have wanted to have my first year teaching was actually my own room, because we maximized the space so much. The middle of the hallways were never supposed to have classrooms in them, and we even had teachers teaching in there. So for a new teacher like me coming in, I had to share. I didn't get my own classroom until 3/4 of the way through my second year teaching. That first year I had to share room because there wasn't any other space for me in my classes. So that would have been something helpful. Whereas now our new teachers coming in, I believe, get their own classroom starting out, which is a huge thing.
So when I walked through the renovated school for the first time, it was as a staff member. It was a lot of reflecting on like, oh wow, this is what we could have had. And there's some envy there, but for me overall, it was like, I would say it was more pride in what we were able to come together and create. And for me, it was just really exciting to see where we were going to be able to bring things like what we were trying to do educationally by having a facility that really supported us to do the things that like every kid really deserved to have in a high school experience.